Hello, this is Lee Barber. I'm making this video on a cold November morning, Sunday morning, just to keep everybody up to date with where it's going. Basically, going right back to the start, I think it was 2003. It was 2002 when I first felt my first symptom, which was numbness in my right leg. I didn't get anything of it at the time. It was mainly just getting in my way of day-to-day life. But I didn't think anything of it, like I said, and I just got on with it in a way that people do. I was at university at the time, and I was quite active in a way that, just going to the pub and doing things that students do. And I think it was about, say, 2004 by the time I had another episode, which would be optic neuritis, which was you get a blind spot in your eye. For the most part, I was working at the time. I could get away with it by looking in my peripheral vision, and I could see the computer screen, which I was a game designer. I could see what was going on. It was a bit of a struggle, but I could do it. And from that point on, I just sort of winged it from then. And then that came to, I'd say, 2004, where I had another problem, which would be I started getting problems with my balance a little bit, but I was still heavy training at that point, doing things like it'd be like boxing or wrestling, something like that. I'd be doing it. I'd be going hard at it, and I wouldn't really let anything stop me at that point. I still didn't know what it was at that point. I really didn't know what it was. But it got to, I'd say, 2014, maybe at that point, which was where I had a big problem with my balance, because we were renovating our first home at that point, and with that, there was like a plank of wood that I had to walk over to get into the house, and I couldn't balance on that at all. I just couldn't do it. So I had to go to the doctor at that point and say, look, what's going on? They did all the tests that you usually do, the MRIs, the strength tests, which I didn't have a problem with. So it was always sketchy. Of course, the MRI results come back, and they said, no, I'm going to need a lumbar puncture. So I go back in for the lumbar puncture, and then it comes out with the results of that. Yeah, you've got MS. Great. So, I wasn't quite down about it at the time. It was a scary time, I'll admit that. But, again, I was just getting on with it like you do, and for quite a while I was still doing that. I think it was only 2019 when I went on my first DMT, disease-modifying therapy, which would be Ocrevus or ocrelizumab. And that's basically an infusion where you go in every 3 months at first. So you got 2 lots of 300 milligram doses, about 2 weeks apart. So we're good enough to give me the time to do that. So I do that, and then it comes to now, which was last week, which was my 600 milligram dose. Knocked the hell out of me, I must admit. But and that's coming to now, when I'm literally just getting over being so tired. The fatigue really kicks in. And it's really hard at times just to motivate yourself to do stuff. Just get up, and things that people take for granted, like getting in the shower and things like that, it can get really strainful. at that point, and it's, you know, it's just, you kind of persevere with it a little bit. I went back to my neurologist. I tried to get an appointment for stem cells in Sheffield, and they said no, it's not going to work. I said okay, so what do we do at that point? Well, so they say it's not going to work. They're not going to give me on the NHS, and this is, I mean, going back to 2013, they could have put me on something then, and it would have slowed it down. They didn't. I don't know why, but at that point, like I say, I was quite active. I was doing all that combat sports, and I was walking fine, had no problems. Of course, now I'm on crutches, and you know, this still, like, say that I'm so good, I'm still active. I'm not, but that's what they say. That's the way they put it across. You know, unless you're in a wheelchair and, you know, crippled, then they're not going to give you time of day. But I don't know. So that what do I do at that point? That's where you look into other things, and unfortunately, it costs a hell of a lot of money to do it. Go abroad. This is the big problem with the NHS is if somebody doesn't get what they want. I mean, it could be cosmetic, it could be heart surgery, it could be whatever, and the NHS doesn't give them that. They go abroad and get it because they're that desperate, for want of a better word. So yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I go back to Sheffield and they say, oh no, you're not relapsing, remitting anymore. And I was like, okay, well, what am I? And they said, well, you're secondary progressive. So my disease is progressive now. They say, yeah. I said, well, if you say stem cells aren't going to work with secondary progressive, why didn't you give it me when I was relapsing, remitting? Couldn't really answer that. So that's where I'm at now. So if I go to, say, Moscow or Mexico, they do that. And of course, it's not guaranteed it's going to work. But there's been a lot of input from people that have had it done abroad. It's unfortunate you have to go abroad to do it, but that's the case. So yeah, I was, I think it was Moscow, both Moscow and Clinical Ruiz in Mexico have accepted me. They know about his secondary progressive, they know all of that, but they said, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. Of course, it costs X amount, which is roughly about 43 grand. So I'm literally going to have to find the money to do that. I might have to sell my house. You know, I might have to do that just to fund it, because I can't let this get any further. I don't want to end up in a wheelchair. I don't want to do that. If the NHS are waiting for that, I'm not going to do that. So that is why I want to go abroad and do it. So that's why I'm asking for support. I'm asking for support from people that might be able to help me with this. And there are a lot of people that are supporting me, both online and friends as well. They're doing things like boxing, sparring sessions, like sponsored, just to raise money for my GoFundMe, which is around about 3 or 4 grand at the minute. But with a little bit more each time, it will get there. So hopefully I won't have to sell my house. So yeah, I think that's where we're at now. I plan to do more video to tell you how it's going on, and if I go through this stem cell procedure, I will track it every step of the way and put it on this channel so you can see it. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. So thank you for listening, and I'll keep in touch. Thank you. Bye.